Hello everybody, it's Chris and welcome back to Something Else Amiga. What do we have on the show today besides my goofy hair? This is my Amiga 4000 tower, which suffers from insertion failure. What does that mean? When I move this tower from its resting place on the shelf to my right here, which is left on your screen. Anyway, when I move it, if I move it aggressively, meaning bump it, not move it like your grandma's holding a bowl full of beef gravy in the back of the car on a Sunday morning with her church dress on and it's white. Careful. What happens is the two cards that are required to boot, which are its SCSI card and its video audio card, they are on pin headers, and they are on special pin headers. Now, it has been removed and reinserted so many times, those pins are loose. The pin headers are still there and fine, and I'm going to hook this up and make sure it still works. And then I'm actually going to replace those special pins. And what they are called, I thought they were standard, like, you know, pie turn pins. No. They have separate legs, like a dip socket, except they have entry angles on the front. And they are called TE connectors. And they only sold them in 60, and I needed 50. So I bought two 60s, and what I'm going to do is count out 50 and cut them down. Now, I've been needing to do this for quite a long time, so today is going to be the day. It's 6 p.m. on Saturday. Why not? I also have to be careful on shoving that connector in there. She's a picky girl. Whoops, and that's going to do nothing. Turn the power on and press the button. I have to wait a few minutes because this thing has a mind of its own. With initialization of the zip drive and the CD-ROM, it takes a second to kind of figure out what it's got. Floppy's been replaced with a Gotek. You've seen this before, but for those of you joining me now, I just want to let you know. So there we go, we are booting. It takes, like I said, not long once it's started. It'll be up and it will be fine. Imagine you have a pin and you have a receptacle hole, in this case a square hole, and it grips onto that pin sideways, but it has spread her legs just ever so much where I have to have it just touching. If it floats, no connectivity and it gets weird. Now you can see it booted fine, virus loaded with the 2021 definitions, and that's new to me. And we are fine. Amadoc, this is 3.2.2.1. I have to do the 3.2.2.2, but I don't want to quite yet. I forget what ROM is in here. Compact disc player works, everything functions, everything's been great. SCSI CD-ROM, IDE zip drive. What? Do you have an IDE card? The Amiga 4000 tower has both IDE and SCSI. It's the only Commodore machine that actually has both buses. First, I have to put on these lights. There we go. Gotta give her a slap.
Daddy?
Just to get a little bit of finger room in there. And then you can kind of just carefully pull this apart. It has those metal, grippy feet. Here's your buttons. These are all on rails, quick release rails. I could squeeze these tabs and slide things out, but I'm not going to. And the case front, now I have the camera slightly back because this is a very large potato. There are some screws on the back. This letter C is the case. Two on the bottom, one on the side, and two on the top, and I only have one in the top because apparently I dropped it. If you have arthritis, these are a must. Anyway, normal AT power supply, which I have a brand new one I should put in, but this one's been recapped and it's working fine. Pry this pizza open a little bit and then pull slightly. Why do you pull slightly? Because on the inside, it has all of those wonderful little C-channel mofos. Something fell on my head. Oh, it's a spider. That was scary. A dead spider carcass fell on my head. Inside, you'll see I already replaced the fan, so I don't need to replace the fan. Apparently, I did that before and forgot. Here are the two module boards I'm talking about. This is the SCSI module, which also contains the floppy controller, and the audio module, which has my CD-ROM audio cable in it. To remove the floppy cable and the SCSI cable. The unit will no longer boot without these devices. I can pull that card out and this machine will not boot at all, ever. These are double-sided tape to give me some cable cleanup, and so it's not such a pigsty in here. We'll start with the SCSI board. You can barely see them in there. A row of pin headers there. There'll be a row of pin headers here. Here is that specialized TE connector that I'm referring to. See how it goes in sideways? And you can see some of those pins are just a little bit loose. And it has 2 rows of pins. That's why I could not use a standard Raspberry Pi or a IDE kind of connector, because it needs this separated mofo, which I have to desolder. So as you can see, my replacement connector is a couple pins longer. 4 to be exact. Am I going to snip those off or grind them down? I am not. I'm going to just snip the legs off and let her hang. That will give me a little bit more length, but it will fit so much nicer in there. It's going to be nice having a brand new connector. So I'm going to fire up the soldering station. We're going to add some solder to this and carefully extract those pins. I have to do the same for the audio connector. You'll notice a little red wire here. That's a grounding screw or a grounding lug that is part of this card's insertion. So I'm going to grab this and carefully pull it out and remove my CD-ROM header. There's the audio card with its protective plastic bottom, which I will need to carefully remove. You can see it's been stressed before somebody grabbed it. This one is a lot smaller of a connector. Both of these boards are available for recreation on PCBWay shared projects, thanks to one of our members that I have purchased his recreations before on the I/O board. So DJ Bass, calling you out, buddy. Thank you for your contributions to sharing the projects. I'm going to add some solder. Add solder to these, which are a lot smaller. That is the addition of solder to both. I'm going to try now to suck out the solder from the smallest card. That is with my Heiko clone, the GI Jawa Jugo Jojai. China. I'm finding I'm having better luck if I just hold the part in my hand. Oh boy, that was scary. Here we go. The old TE connector. Gosh, it does have cut lines on the bottom. Those lines, so I guess you can cut your own. And there's our board, bottom and top. Here's the one new connector. You can see it has the same little slice things on the bottom there as the original. Should I try to cut myself an exact fit? Yeah, I'm going to try.
Do or do not. There is no try.
That's scary. They're not happening. So here we go. Wow, it worked. Okay. Okay, it's like 25 minutes later. That one was way more of a problem. I beat the living crap out of that connector and this board's hot. I don't have enough power on that little tiny guy to get these grounds out. So I broke them off and heated flux on there for like a minute with the ball solder. And okay, we are back. We have the cards done. First, we're going to put in the SCSI card, which is the top card. It's hard for me to line up, so maybe put my head in the way. Oh, much better. That is a much better fit. Oh yeah, that was a nice fit. I actually felt it go in. Alright, now we can put our cables back. Alright, that's it. It's done. Alright, here we go. Monitor on, power on. Give it a second to do its Dell thing. And we're going to watch lights and see if we get a SCSI light. Got a SCSI light. Got that light, got that light. Does it boot with the new, what are they called? TE connectors. Takes a second. Wait for that to flicker. I see the outline of the video. Hot dog! Mr. Jack, what, a couple hours later. After that phone call with Mr. Jack, thankfully he called, we were talking and I needed to go on the other side of the basement to get something. Well, my condensation pump for the air conditioner decided it was going to fail and flooded that other side with about 2 or 3 gallons of water. Great. Don't worry, all the Amiga stuff's safe. I did lose an Xbox 360 box and a boxed PlayStation 5 right there in that chair. Kind of got a little wet, but you know, it was my daughter's PS5 she didn't want. Played it for 30 minutes. Yeah, that was a Christmas gift. Wonderful. Anyway, I had to take a carpeted mat up, which soaked the majority of it up, but everything's sitting on top of that. One of the Drobo boxes I was gifted, empty, got wet on the bottom and kind of started to suck up. I put it in front of a fan, it dried out okay. One Xbox 360, boxed Xbox 360 mine. Not new, but you know, the original box got wet on the bottom. That's drying now. If you hear some propeller noises, I have all of my fans over there drying the concrete floor off. And everything's okay. All my Amiga stuff was in totes and up high, so that's the most important to me. Hell with a little bit of water on the floor. Anyway, I bought a new condensation pump at Lowe's. I booked it, made it there 30 minutes before they closed. It is now 10 o'clock at night. And hooked it up in a couple minutes, and all is well. Thankfully, I have a shop vac and sucked all the water up, and it's just a little bit humid over there now. Dehumidifier's running like somebody owes it money. AC's back on, nice and cool in here again. For those of you in the metric zone that don't have air conditioning or don't know what air conditioning is, aircon, whatever, here in America, where Jesus lives, the condensation, because air conditioning is a natural dehumidifier, drips water out of a pipe. It goes into a little box about that big, has an electric motor on it and a float. When it hits a certain height, the pump kicks on and pumps water out of a little hose, clear hose, over to my sump pump. A sump pump, for those of you in the metric world, is a big underneath the ground water table pump that keeps the water out of my basement, pumps it outside. Anyway, my condensation pump feeds into the sump, where if it fills up with 50 gallons or whatever it is, it will pump outside. So that pump failed, and that's what needed to be replaced. Important safety tip for you guys that do have a sump pump: go to the old Walmart or any place that sells pool chemicals and get yourself the HTH chlorine tablets, the little tiny ones. They fit right in there, and it will keep the gross sludge and yuck that forms over a couple years in check. Why did mine fail? Because some fat dude who runs a YouTube channel about Amigas forgot to put the chlorine tablets in there for like a year because Mona kept complaining it smelled like bleach over there. Anyway, my fault, but I did kick it and it came on. But I bought a new one anyway. I did box it up and washed it and all that stuff. I'm going to keep it as an emergency spare because it was $107. Anywho, let's get back to the problem at hand. I don't know where I left off. We were testing this thing. I did get the Slayer Christmas music, Seasons of the Abyss, which we're going to go ahead and put in there. Sometimes it helps it boot faster. But I'm really glad I did those, whatever they're called, TE connectors. It needed to be done. A little scary for me because she's such a rare unit. You know, you don't want to mess it up and have issues, and I can't see anything. Zulu Scuzzy, Bob's your uncle. Good Christian music. So, the Christmas music works. Slayer Christmas album, Seasons of the Abyss, child friendly. Anyway, that's cool. Check this. The 4000 tower is now totally complete, I believe, with restoration and repairs. Those TE connectors were the last thing I actually had to do on maintenance-wise repairs. She's been recapped, the power supply's been freshened up. I actually have a spare brand new AT power supply. So I'm going to get this dressed and we'll test it one final time because you know how it works. You fix your stuff. As long as she's undressed, she looks great. But I'm going to put her clothes back on where she really shines. And then we'll do one final power up. We're even going to put her feet on. These are the special branded Mona feet that were so kindly printed, well, one of each that were so kindly printed for me. I think this is a David Z. Andrew printed the Mona feet, David Z printed the other feet. So I use one of each. So there's the 4000 tower. I don't have the smoked glass, but I do have the clear, and I kind of like it. We're going to twist her around this way. Give her one more twist off here. Power. Beep is good. I'll even click the lock this time. So, thanks again, Andrew, for the feet. Thank you, David, for the feet. Greatly appreciate it. Couldn't have done it without you guys. Bingo, chingo, we're back in action, and that is awesome. So,
welcome home.
That's great. Welcome home. Yeah, I must have said something that triggered that box. So, while this might seem useless to a lot of people, it was an important kind of repair to me on my own machine here, making sure it's 100% now, and I've been meaning to do that for a long time. I've just been so daggone busy, you can't get a moment to do anything, and something always happens. That's how it works in Amiga world, and I'm sure you guys have similar stories. So that is all I got for now. Thanks for coming along on this journey, and until next time, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something.
What do you know from funny, you bastard?